Alrighty, hello every folks, and good morning. Welcome to another edition of Know Your Tic Tacs. Today, yeah, it's about time. We're finally covering the Time Mage. Now, this is a class that I don't necessarily use that often, but they really have one of the most thematically awesome skill sets in the entire game, frankly. And additionally, we have a case of a unit that basically they're kind of in this unique position where a lot of their abilities are just kind of built around interesting team synergies, like right here. Like something like Meteor is going to have a very difficult time ever landing in a normal context, but if, for example, you get re-raise on one of your units, target it on one of them, give them high movement, and have them run into the center of an enemy team, that is going to be a lot more potent. So, while this may not necessarily be perfect in a lot of situations, it is a lot of fun to use Meteor as basically a long-range nuke that you target on one of your own guys. You basically guide them in like a dang missile. Now, that being said, when it comes to the Time Mage, all of their abilities are going to be based around time, as you'd kind of expect, which also means that a lot of their passives are based around time, which also means that when you get them out of the box, they're one of the ones that's going to be, well, a little basic out of the box. Usually, you just have your kind of your haste, your slow, that sort of stuff. And when it comes to some of their more advanced stuff, you're probably going to want to have some of their passives going before you really see a whole lot of return out of these guys. They're relatively expensive to go and get going, but they are they're a very fun, unique goober. So, one thing I do want to point out, the reason that we actually started off in the kind of battle map here, as opposed to just going to the menu like we normally do here, is to point out that these guys have almost the opposite thing of what the White Mage had. Honestly, I still don't know if this is a bug or an oversight, but when it comes to their buffs, their accuracy improves as they end up going and getting the more expensive versions, as opposed to the White Mage with their buffs just going and having 60% accuracy at like reasonably high faith. So there's that. Anyway, so with that being said, yeah, Hestasia is actually worth using, and yeah, if you wanted to do some fun nonsense like using your own units as a missile, you've got that as an option over here. So that's all well and fun. Now, this, granted, is not as immediately thunderdunking the entire universe as it did back in the older versions, but they do have some of the cooler animations. Probably next to the Mystic, they've got some of the coolest stuff going on there. Alright, now let's get back to the normal stuff here. Alrighty, so here we are with the menu itself. So, like with many dedicated casters, we're going to see that their abilities are going to scale off of Magic Attack, Faith, and the target's Faith. Though, again, in this particular case, since you have two things going for you, you can oftentimes just ram a meteor into somebody's face instead. And also, unlike the White Mage, their buffs have a pretty decent chance to actually hit, regardless of whether or not the guy that's being hit is a bit of an atheist or not. Not literally with the atheist status, but you know what I'm getting at here. Also, additionally, because of the fact that their equipment limits them to only stabs on their weapons, if you use them as the dedicated class here, you pretty much shouldn't. As far as time magic goes, you really just kind of put their stuff on other classes, but if you insist on using these guys, having something like equipped swords on there is a decent pick, seeing as, especially once you get towards around Chapter 4 there, swords are actually going to have better magic stats than their staves do, which is just kind of funny. Anyway, from there, let's go ahead and talk about the abilities themselves, because they are fun. So you've got Haste, which makes your next turn come faster, just classic speed boost kind of thing. The initial one is fairly cheap. The second one is a bit more expensive, but again, unlike White Mage buffs, their accuracy is improved, their vertical range is improved. It's actually worth using. Sloja is going to be relatively cheap. Sorry, I apologize. It's been a bit of a day today. Slow is going to obviously slow stuff down. Sloja is going to do the same thing with improved vertical range and whatever else. And then Stop is going to stop something in place. I also want to point out that Stop has one of the most satisfying animations as far as actually stopping something. I don't know what it is, something about that pop when something stops. There's just something that really clicks about it. As far as Immobilize goes, not so much. I would put it probably more in the C tier in terms of the satisfaction of its animation, but it does prevent something from moving, so I suppose that's neat. You've got Float. If you want to, sure, why not? If you just kind of want to just have some of that cool aura on somebody of being able to float a little bit, there you go. Or if you want to just become immune to earth attacks, that's mostly what this is here. We've got Reflect. This is going to be coming from either this or the Summoner most of the time. In this particular case, yeah, if you end up reflecting spells, this is actually one potential way to get some spells at long range without needing something like the calculator. It's one of those tricks that I never really quite mastered myself, but I remember that I used to love watching videos of people going and reflecting stuff onto other stuff way back when. So this is a fun little trick to potentially figure out here. If you're having trouble with casters, yeah, you can reflect their stuff away, but due to the chaotic nature of where those attacks may end up landing, this could be a good or bad thing, but it is a fun little trick to have. Quick is an instant turn, and not to mention it's also going to be cast pretty quick as well, so for something like this, you would have expected to potentially have it a bit slower, but this could allow you to set up a double turn if you'd like. And then from there, we have the unique mechanic of gravity. So this is going to reduce units' health by a percentage. And actually, one thing that I don't believe I mentioned in previous episodes that somebody pointed out to me, well, actually several people pointed out to me back on the Mystic episode, is that when it comes to any percentage-based attacks, the Zodiac bosses are typically going to be essentially scaling these types of abilities off of their maximum, not their current health. So this does have a tendency to be better versus them, apparently. Honestly, it's one of those things that I never would have figured would even work, because a lot of the times it's either heavily nerfed or doesn't work for this kind of format. So yeah, it just never really came up as something that I wanted to try. And then from there, we've seen the classic Meteor. Incredibly slow to cast, one of the most expensive spells in the game, ginormous explosive AoE, and yeah, takes forever to cast. But it's really satisfying. And here's the thing, as far as their passives go, usually you'll want to pick up their Swift spell relatively quickly. Like, if you're trying to prioritize stuff, start off with Haste, that's great. Start off with Slow, that's great and cheap. Get Meteor at some point, and then from there, just jump straight to Swift spell, as this basically reduces the time that you need to cast anything by half, and interestingly enough, does work with, well, a lot of other things as well, apparently including Beowulf's abilities too. So anything that charges, this will end up making go faster. From there, we also have Critical Quick, which gives you an instant turn if you end up getting knocked into critical, which is situational. It's kind of neat. Could potentially be very good on something with heavier armor, as they can probably get knocked into critical a bit more safely. And then you have everyone's favorite Mana Shield, which allows you to absorb incoming hits on your MP bar instead of your HP bar. But additionally, if this triggers whatsoever, it absorbs the entire hit. So if you're hit for 1,000 and you happen to have 1 MP, yeah, you are basically just eating 999 damage and just deleting it out of existence. Again, this is the time and space manipulator. Such things should be expected. This additionally combines very well with Mana Font over from the Mystic, so something you should definitely consider using, considering that moving then resets their MP shield. Now, this does prevent them from casting, but if you are looking for those defensive options to go and put on somebody else, there you go. Alright, from there we have Levitate, which gives you permanent float status. Alrighty then. Now, as far as float goes, yeah, it permanently raises your elevation by 1, so there's some movement situations where this could potentially be useful for. This is actually probably something that I probably shouldn't have been so down on float over here for, because it is cheap. It does basically give you jump +1 temporarily, but still, it's, it's neat, but I don't know why you'd ever put this in your movement abilities, unless you haven't been able to afford teleport yet. Funnily enough, this actually used to be how expensive Fly was. Actually, no, Fly was even more expensive in the War Lions version, going up to 5,000. But in this particular case, teleport is 3,000, essentially allowing you to move anywhere, but any tiles beyond your movement range have a chance to fail. So potentially you could go anywhere, ignore any height, whatever else, but you might also just plain not move at all. So yeah, this is one of those ones that once you've mastered it, it's potentially a great way to get around, arguably the best way to get around. But yeah, you just got to be a little bit careful about it. And if you're wondering, by the way, hey, hold on, I see bosses teleport all the time, but they don't fail. They have a better non-failable version of teleport. So there's that. Okie dokie. So yeah, that is the Time Mage in a nutshell. Meteor, very, very good. Very, very strong ability. On something like Tactician, it's going to suffer from a lot of the other nuke moves, and unlike a lot of the other nuke moves, it's not calculatable, so it is something that you want to be using directly. Even with a bunch of stacked MA, the best way to get the classic effect out of something like Meteor is if you get a Bard and then just continuously have them sing, doing their MA pluses and stuff like that, and then you take somebody, let's say, with high movement and Chantage, and then guide that Meteor in like a frickin' missile. You're probably going to get better results out of it. Again, it's it's one of these spells that's really satisfying but a little bit awkward to land, but really satisfying when it does. So it's just like it's one of these ones that's just got some great texture to it, you know. You use it because you want to, not necessarily because it's as practical as a lot of the other stuff. But the impracticality is kind of the point in this case. Swift Spell makes it a lot more likely to be able to land that sucker consistently. But if you would prefer this method, I mean, I know I personally do. It's here for you. So yeah, that is about that. Now, again, as far as other options for these guys go, due to being a squishy mage sort, you can always potentially just go for something like equip shields. Go ahead and give them a little bit of better defense or what have you, a little bit of better MA from something like the Aegis that I never shut up about, and then from there, well, Aegis and/or its better later variants, but. If you do something like that, it might give them a bit more survivability. If you are already running a Bard for basically infinite MA, at that point that just frees up your stuff to do whatever you'd like. So yeah, there's that. And additionally, if you want to just have the best time age possible, just go ahead and put that on Ramza. His Scream over here. So if we go over to his Gallant, I know we're not talking about the Gallant today, but like. Shout, with its ability to always give you magic attack plus it improves your speed. Yeah, the guy's just a really good time mage. So, if you want a really good meteor guy, forget using Ultima. What the hell is this even doing here? No, what you really want to do is repeatedly spam Shout, and then just go and cheese your meteors. I mean, hell, even target yourself, put a Chantage on this guy, or Dragonheart or something, and then just have him go and be his own nuke, you know? Alright, anyways, so just kind of throwing that out there. Kind of a, goober way to go put this whole thing, but whatever. I think it's neat. It's a neat class. It's got some fun mechanics. I personally don't use it very much for... Honestly, I don't even know what reason. It's one of these ones that just always stuck in my mind as something that was too awkward to use since way back in the PS1 days, and it's not. It's genuinely a great class that's good as a beginner class, as an advanced class. It's good as a thing to slap on just about anybody. It's got a lot of potential to cheese a lot of cool mechanics. I genuinely don't know why I don't care for this class. I like everything about it, I just don't like it for reasons I cannot explain. Anyway, maybe it's the hat. Maybe it's the hat. Alright, well anyways, that is today's report on the Conehead, so y'all have yourselves a good one, and take care. I will see you in the next one, which will probably be Dragoon or something. Alright, see you then. Bye.